George Nicholas Neese, Daddy. Tall, blonde, blue-eyed, Aryan Adonis. He had a beautiful speaking voice. He did voiceovers in commercials. He even did musical comedy. He would sing to my sister and I. Younger than springtime are you, softer than laughter are you. Then at 3 years old, my mother and my father divorced. Daddy? Daddy? Where'd my daddy go? Has anybody seen my daddy? Daddy! First he's here, then he's not. Did I say something wrong? Well, after my mother served some papers, he just kind of shut down, and he didn't want to think about the past, just wanted to go on with his life. I mean, sometimes he'd come by with presents for Christmas, or sometimes he would take us out to lunch. The Sea Lion was a very popular restaurant in Malibu, overlooking the ocean. Nikki, darling, the waitress is waiting for your order. I'm sorry, Daddy. Everything looks so good. I don't know what to choose. Shirley Temple, crab cocktail, and duck l'orange. Well, that's quite an unusual order for a fish restaurant. You're becoming a gourmet just like your father. Yes, Daddy. Now, my mother's side of the apartment, the decor was very she, very glamorous, very Hollywood. There was these wraparound curtains that covered these windows all around the room that had this marvelous 30-ish design of plumes and palm tree branches and feathers with splashes of magenta and chartreuse. Chartreuse was a big color in those days. And I would put on the 33 1/3 long playing albums, Scheherazade or Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, and I would just dance to my heart's content. La-dum, la-da-dum, da-da-dum, la-da-da-dee, la-da-da-dee, da-da-dum, la-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-dee, da-da, la-da-da-da-dee, da-dum. Now, my grandparents' side, it was much more practical, very utilitarian. There was the double bed my sister and I slept in. It had no particular headboard, no particular bedspread, just a box spring mattress sheet, nothing fancy. And in the middle of the room was a pull-down bed that always stayed pulled down that my grandparents slept in. There wasn't a lot of walking space in that living room, especially with the upright piano that my grandmother and my Uncle Clark played. My Uncle Clark, he lived in the back bedroom. He was the oldest of the 4 children. Then came my mother, my Auntie Anne, and my Auntie Adrian. So my uncle loved opera and playing that piano. My grandmother would shout, "Clark, stop pounding the piano!" We kids really loved his rendition of the Green-Eyed Dragon. Beware, take care of the green-eyed dragon with the 13 tails, who feeds with greed on little boys in polka-dot pails and big fat snails. Oh, Uncle Clarky, sing it again. My grandmother too, she was very musical and she loved playing that piano herself. Welcome, sweet springtime, la-dee, la-la. Now, girls, remember when you sing, open your mouth wide. Put 2 fingers in your mouth. La, 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 la. The notes on the space, F-A-C-E, spell face. La, 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 la. The notes on the lines, E-G-B-D-F. Every good boy does fine. My grandmother, she was getting now into her 50s, and she had put on a little bit of weight over the years. And especially in the upper body area, she needed a little control. So she had these custom-made corsets she was very proud of. And I'd watch her lace those up every day. She'd put on her fine linen dress and her matching jacket. And for her coiffure, she had these clumps of fake hair, which she would put right in the middle of her head. And with a very special comb, she would twirl one side to the center and do the same with the other side. She put on a wide brim flowered hat. And with her walking cane, she was indeed the Dowager Empress, strutting off to Hollywood Boulevard for her favorite pork noodle soup. Bonnie, Nicky, she would call us to come in for dinner or get ready for bed. Our neighborhood friends really got a big kick out of her high falsetto voice. My grandmother, she was a Sagittarian. I don't know if you know much about Sagittarians, but they can be outspoken to a fault, and my grandmother was no exception. Don't sling hash for a living. Don't wash dirty diapers. But above all, do not be a cesspool for men. Oh, Grandma, how could you say such a thing? I guess my grandmother was one of the first feminists. Needless to say, I did my dutiful best to ignore all her dictums. My grandfather and my grandmother, they came from the East Coast, Massachusetts. Well, my grandfather would have lived there forever, but my grandmother had other ideas. George, we're going to Hollywood. I want to be a star. But dearest, Hollywood is thousands of miles away. I mean, what about my job, the children? We have responsibilities here. Well, you're a teacher. Well, they need teachers everywhere. And I'm sure, as far as the children are concerned, well, I'm their mother. They'll be with me. And I'm sure they must have chaperones on the set. Well, my grandmother didn't have too much choice. So they just one day packed the 4 kids into the Model T Ford and drove all the way across the country to California. That must have been quite a trip. George, are we going up the hill? It does look that way, dear. You know how I am about hills. Does that mean we'll be going down the hill? That's quite possible. I don't trust these newfangled machines. They haven't been properly tested. Nonsense, Lillian. Of course they have. Why, this is a perfectly stable car. Well, it's a Ford. I don't care what it is. Oh, stop the car right now. I want to get out. Oh, suit yourself, Mother. Thank you, dear. Ah, that's much better. I know these legs won't give out on me.